right, take it away. Any luck, Clinton?
Yes and no, sir. 2 sets of prints. One his, Henry Marston's. The other I can't place, but a man's print's all right, no doubt of that. The first finger...
Yes, that first finger's the trouble, Clinton.
Sorry, it's this blooming new pipe.
You mean new smoker? If you must slavishly imitate your superiors, Clinton, you should keep your eyes open. See? Quite simple. The third finger. Presses more gently. Leaves the tobacco springy, and therefore easier to light. But proceed with the murder, Clinton.
Yes, sir. Marston was poisoned. And that glass with his prints on, the one that had whiskey in it, not the one with the plain soda, smells of burnt almonds.
Potassium cyanide. That means he died almost instantaneously. And it must have been murder, because no man would commit suicide when just about to fill his tobacco pouch.
But the second tumbler, that's what I can't make out. Somebody was here with him, that's obvious.
Yes, I want to know is when. Oh, well, let's find out. Call the housekeeper. And by the way...
Mrs. Tanner. Okay, I'll get her.
Oh, Mrs. Tanner, I want to ask you a few more questions. Just a matter of routine, you know. Sit down. Now, Mrs. Tanner.
I've already explained, Inspector, how I found him, and straight away telephoned the police station. The strange thing was, he'd locked himself in. I had to go round to the French windows. I'm sure there's nothing.
Now, we'll see. Now, who was his visitor?
A man did call to see him, and a bit mysterious too, if you ask me. Round about midday it was. He came in through the garden, like as though he didn't want anyone to see him.
You know the man?
No.
Not his name?
No, not even his name.
Had he been here before?
Not that I know of.
Oh, what sort of man was he? Tall, thick-set? Just describe him in your own words.
Well, he was neither tall nor thick-set. Bit on the short side, I should say. Never set eyes on him in my life before. Of course, I told you earlier, I've not been keeping house here quite 5 months.
Where's this usually kept?
In the sideboard with the others.
Oh.
Is that all, Inspector? I've still got my work to do, and really, what with one thing and another.
Yes, that's all for the moment. Thank you, Mrs. Tanner. Well, there you are, Clinton. Check up on her fingerprints.
These don't help us much.
Now, perhaps we can speed things up if we take a look at the other room. Come on.
Inspector, it's the same man. He's gone into the study through the window again.
Ah, a back door caller. Very interesting.
They say a murderer always returns to the scene of his crime.
It's him. You're the man who came here before. Now, what do you want this time?
If you don't mind, Mrs. Tanner.
But,
Please. Now, my man, I'm ready to listen to you. I take it you've got something to say, otherwise you wouldn't be here. First of all, who are you?
I'm Bob Joyce. Blimey, Governor, I ain't called here to pinch the silver, even if old Henry had any.
You were a friend of Marston's then?
The best he had back in the old days, though I do say it myself.
The old days? I think you'd better start at the beginning. It'll be simpler.
Like I said, back in the old days, when Henry was doing all right, the fairest bookie that ever took a 5-to-1 on. And me, well, I wasn't doing so bad either. I rode 5 winners in 1 week at Newmarket, and...
Now I've got it. Bob Joyce. You rode Spanglefoot in the 2,000 guineas.
That's right.
That's him. Blimey, that was a long time ago. I had a bid on Spanglefoot to win, and he did. Ran away with the race. Won about a couple of quid. And like a mug told the missus, she made me buy a new hat what she'd see.
You haven't ridden a race for some time, have you, Joyce?
No. Like I was telling Henry and... Well, me and Henry, we sort of got out of touch. You know how it is with people. Then suddenly, out of the blue, as you might say, he rings me up. Just like that. And he's all worked up. I can tell that he was sort of, well, trying to hold himself in. But over the phone he wouldn't say much. Said he'd written a letter he wanted to give me personally. He wouldn't say what was in it. But he asked me to be sure and be here the same day, shortly after 12. Oh, and I was to be certain and come the back way through the garden so that I shouldn't be seen.
He made a point of that, did he?
Yes. Struck me as being a bit funny at the time. Well, I knew Henry Marston, and if that was what he wanted, well, he had his reasons, and that was enough for me.
Oh, he had his reasons, all right. Plenty of them.
Anyway, when I got here, he still wouldn't say much. He was a bit jumpy, and I could tell he was excited, as if he had some secret bubbling over inside of him. He just gave me an envelope. Here it is, just as he gave it to me. Bob, he said, just like that. I want you to find my daughter Betty and give her this. But remember, if anything happens to me before you find her, take it straight to the police. Well, here I am. Something did happen to him. And if you ain't a plain clothes man, I'm a monkey's uncle.
It'd be interesting to meet your nephews, Joyce. Well?
Why, it's crazy. And Henry Marston was one of the sanest men I ever met. But that was how it was. Just like I told you. And You believe me, don't you?
That's all right. Come and sit down. What do you know about Betty Marston, Joyce?
Well, her name ain't Marston any longer, for one thing.
Married, eh?
As far as I know, about 6 months ago. I don't even know the name of the chap she's married. But I do know Henry didn't approve at the time.
He told you so?
Well, not in so many words. But he told me he'd lost track of her. And that girl was the apple of his eye.
You know where she is now?
If I did, I wouldn't be here, would I? But she'll soon find out what's happened. The same way that I did. And reading it in cold print in a newspaper ain't exactly the easiest way to have the news of your father's murder broken to you. Poor kid. Do you mind if I smoke? I feel all done up. I don't mind admitting, Governor.
Go ahead, have one of these.
If we are going to have half time, I may as well have a basinful myself.
Did you have a drink when you came here?
Eh? Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm teetotal. I just had a glass of soda water. Henry had a drop of whiskey. Come to think of it, I don't think he touched it. Seemed too taken up with his thoughts. Why? There's nothing funny about the drinks, is there?
Nothing we don't know. What on earth are you smoking, Clinton?
Why, this tobacco...
Scented. Talk about artificial flavouring. Remember, you are still on duty.
I got you.
Now tell me, had Marston any enemies? You know what I mean. Do you know of anyone who hated him enough to murder him?
Yes. If you want to know. Henry put Phil Gorman behind bars. That was years ago. Gorman was a crook. Member of a race gang. And he was bad medicine for Henry, all right.
Yes, I remember the Gorman trial vaguely.
Then you remember the vow Gorman made from the dock. He swore he'd get Henry Marston if he took him the rest of his life. Only Gorman's still in quod.
Inspector.
Yes?
Can I speak to you for a moment? Joyce's dab's on the second tumbler, if that conveys anything to you. But I found something else. 2 fingerprints I can't identify.
Don't be an ass, Clinton. They're mine. That's my tin, so clean that mess off. Stay with him. I'm going to phone. I don't want to be overheard.
Ever tried smoking a pipe, Joyce?
I haven't smoked a pipe for a long time. Why? You a pipe smoker?
Yes.
That you, Charles? Good. Slade here. I want you to look up something right away. The dossier on Phil Gorman, race gang crook.
Very good, sir.
Still in time, I think. At least get me the facts, will you, and bring me back here. Southbury, 4283. Thanks.
Are you Inspector Slade?
Yes?
I'm Henry Marston's daughter. I've read in the papers that you're in charge of the investigation into my father's...
This won't do, you know. Better come in here and sit down. There, that's better.
Thank you. You're Bob Joyce, aren't you?
So you remember me, Miss Betty?
Yes. I had to come. You do understand that, don't you, Inspector?
Yes, of course. It's been a shock, naturally.
I expect you know how I got married against my father's wishes. He never understood Peter. That's my husband. It caused trouble between us. We quarreled. Peter just walked out. Oh, my God, no, you can't think that. Peter wouldn't.
Now, don't worry. You'll excuse me for a moment. Yes? Oh, good work, Giles. What'd you dig up?
Plenty. But first, Gorman's not inside. He came out about 7 months ago.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I won't tell you all I know over the phone, Inspector. But there's no mistake. He's a race gang crook, all right. He tried to cut up Henry Marston, a turf commission agent. Marston was instrumental in getting him inside. Actually, Gorman started his career as an actor who embezzled the funds of a touring company. He has a reputation with the ladies, too. Or at least, he had before he went inside.
Get me a set of his fingerprints. That's right.
Where to now? Pipe gone out, Inspector? I thought if one used the civilized tobacco and the third finger, then...
Answering your first question, the kitchen.
Then you mean the poison was...
All clear, eh? You can see the path leading to the study all right from here.
Here's another one of Marston's pipes. Why should he leave it in the kitchen of all places?
A fair question, Clinton. We must see if we can find you a fair answer.
How?
Well, to begin with, it's not Marston's.
How do you make that out?
The teeth marks.
Then it must be Joyce's. No. While you were phoning, he said he hadn't smoked a pipe for a long time.
Makes it easy, doesn't it? You see, Clinton? Cheap tobacco, just like you're using. Much used pipe, habitual smoker, packed hard, suggesting stress while filling it.
And whose could it be? There's only... You don't mean the girl's husband?
I mean, Clinton, that this has answered the one question that really troubled me. Come on. What happened?
A man came down the stairs. Poor Joyce tried to stop him. He's gone through there.
Better get a doctor.
Blimey. Put me onto the local police station right away.
How is he?
He's coming round.
I'll send for the ambulance, sir. Be here any moment.
Right.
Get me the inspector. Inspector, this is Clinton speaking.
So Marston got suspicious of his housekeeper, did he, Gorman? Yes, he's frightened you might carry out the threat you made in the dock 5 years ago. But besides revenge, you wanted some money and bonds he had, didn't you? This letter to his daughter is going to make things a bit awkward, isn't it? No wonder you decided to get it back, Gorman. Afternoon. Not a very pretty specimen, is he? Take him away. Come on.
Come on.
Has the ambulance arrived for Joyce yet?
They've just taken him away.
Well, that about settles things, I think.
But I still don't fully understand, Inspector.
Well, let me put it this way. Somehow your father had seen through the elaborate disguise of Mrs. Tanner. Gorman came in here and heard your father phoning Joyce. Then he substituted the bill for the real letter and put the potassium cyanide in the whiskey. Luckily for Joyce, he's teetotal. But he left his fingerprints on the glass of soda water. That fitted in nicely with Gorman's plans, putting suspicion on Joyce and giving him time to collect the money and bonds from your father's safe. In the same way, he listened to me when I phoned the yard about him. When I mentioned his fingerprints, he got the wind up. Well, you know what happened. He got out of his Mrs. Tanner disguise and made a bolt for it.
But Joyce was there to upset his little apple cart. That's what they call poetic justice, though I'm
This is your property, really, your father's letter. You will notice that almost his last words are a wish that you will be happy.
I hope that hospital report on Joyce is okay. When I think of him being the little fellow who romped home on Spanglefoot, I can... Here, what are you doing here? Don't you know that assaulting a policeman is
Come on,
liable...
Clinton, you should have guessed who that is. That is. She will. Well, they don't want an audience.
That's all right, I'm a married man myself.
But you don't do that sort of thing now. You've taken to a pipe.
That's very likely why my missus gave it to me. Takes a bit of getting used to. And she likes the smell of a good tobacco about the house.
Huh? Then you better put some of mine in her pipe and smoke it.
Thanks, I will.